I mean, I just know it. And I know that the first time I see the movie, I'm going to think it's horrible. But then after that, then I get much more interested in everything else that's happening.
The spaceship.
Yes.
That they send you the specifications to build. What was that?
What was it?
Was that computer generated? Was that a model?
You know, you got to ask the guys. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean,
it was all magic to me.
When
I guess
you walked into it.
Well, it wasn't there when I was there.
You never walked into a space vehicle?
Yeah, I did. Well, that was there. That was there, it was built. But in terms of the giant machine, which would be bigger than this entire building, that we definitely didn't build.
You have never done a film like this, have you? I mean, where you're a sort of heroine going into space, fighting all the odds. I've
never done a movie with opticals either, and I've never done a movie with blue screen, any of that kind of stuff. So it was brand new to me, and I just, you know, said, okay, tell me what I'm supposed to do.
Are you shocked at cost? This costs, what, 90 million?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it's pretty much all on the screen.
You see it?
Oh yeah, it is technically absolutely beautiful, really visually incredible film, and I don't think you've ever seen anything like this on the screen.
You haven't? And one of the more amazing aspects, while at the beginning there's an awful lot of technical talk, and I was with a tough crew of people watching this, all of them never minded the fact that we had no idea what you were talking about.
Oh, yeah.
And it was still caught up in the story. We'll take the Z flat, we'll turn it into the E sing, what's the holograms on top of the swing, and we'll do it.
The technical speak. Yeah, that's pretty much, I would say that's the great challenge of this movie, was figuring, I mean, the first day of shooting, I'll never forget, we were at the very large array in New Mexico, which is all those really great white ears, those sort of white telescopes that are out there in the middle of the desert. And, of course, as usual, Bob likes to make things easy on everybody. So it's a magic hour shot, which means you have about 2 minutes to shoot it. It's, I think there's 2 cameras on a follow vehicle, and I'm supposed to be driving. And it's, all of the different telescopes are turning at the same time, so they all have to be, you know, by computer. And I'm yelling into a walkie-talkie the hardest technical dialogue I've ever had in my entire life on the first day of shooting.
It's all technical stuff you're yelling.
Yeah.
Because you're hearing the sound. You have made communication. I'm on television at that minute talking to McConaughey, right? All this is...
Probably. Well, maybe not quite. Oh, yeah, you are. You are on TV. That's your scene.
That's my... I'm the transition scene. This movie takes off.
Oh, you see, you were the only motivation I had. I had nothing but you and my walkie-talkie.
And James Woods played me to read the parts, right, when he was doing the...
Yeah, he did. He did in the reading. Someday you have to bring him on and make him do an impersonation of you, because it's really wonderful.
We'll be back with the sensationally talented Jodie Foster. The movie is Contact. Don't go away.
Author and theologian Palmer Joss.
The candidates and myself, we fully understand the implications, the risks that we're taking.
Why?
Because it's a historic opportunity, because the world needs...
You, Ellie, you personally. And by doing this, you're willing to give your life. You're willing to die for it. Why?
As long as I can remember, I've been searching some reason why we're here. What are we doing here? Who are we? If this is a chance to find out even just a little part of that answer, I don't know, I think it's worth a human life. Don't you?
Your biggest impact movie early was Taxi Driver, was it?
Taxi Driver, yeah. Well, it's a great movie. It's a great American classic. I think it's the best movie that best movie that I've ever seen.
Really?
Oh yeah, that's my favorite.
And it holds up.
I think it really does. I don't know if you've seen it recently, but I think it really
sort
does.
of about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And people got fixated on that movie, right? We got fixated by your character, the De Niro character, right? I mean, well, Albert Brooks was in that movie.
That's right, Sybil Shepherd.
Yeah.
It was, yeah, it was, I think it was a movie that really spoke about our time, about the loneliness in our culture and in big cities, and, you know, alienation and where that leads, and ultimately it can lead to destructive, horrible violence.
A movie you also liked right away when you read that script?
Yeah, I did, but I was 12 years old, you know, and I had already made a movie with Scorsese, Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore, and I was just really keen on working with him again, so I wanted to do anything I could to do that. I frankly, my mother and I, we both thought I was terribly miscast for it, you know, because...
Why?
Well, I was sort of a, you know, a prim, you know, uniform-wearing 12-year-old schoolgirl, and I mean, there's nothing that Marty ever knew about me that would make him think that I could play a kind of streetwise, you know, hustler.
Oh, look, can I see you again?
That's not hard to do.
No, I don't mean like that. I mean, you know, regularly. This is nothing for a person to do.
All right, how about breakfast tomorrow?
Tomorrow what?
I get up at about 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock?
1 o'clock.
Well, I got a thing I don't...
Come on, do you want to or not?
Yeah, I want... okay, all right. Okay, 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock.
Okay. See you tomorrow. Oh, Iris. My name is Travis.
Thanks a lot, Travis.
Did you know De Niro was that good?
Oh, yeah, well, yeah, absolutely. When I was a kid, I used to do imitations of him in Mean Streets, you know, and I think that's what endeared me to Scorsese, was is that I would do these imitations on screen.
Now do you want to do a movie with Pacino, and it completes the cycle?
Absolutely. I've always wanted to do a movie with Pacino. Hope it, either as a director or as an actor.
Now, directing. Why?
Directing why? Boy, that's a big
You like
question.
the way I asked you?
I do,
Directing,
I love it.
why?
Let's see. Well, it's a funny thing because it is the complete vision of the movie. And I have such respect for that as an actor. I mean, I walk onto a set, my first question is, you know, what does the director want to say? And where's his train going? So I can figure out how to serve him or her. And it's a wonderful feeling and a very satisfying feeling to know that you have, that the entire vision of the film is in your hands, that every decision is yours, and that in some ways it reflects the experiences that you've had in your life.
So the first movie you directed was what, Little Man Tate?
Little Man Tate, yeah.
And did you like it? Did you like doing it?
Yeah, I loved every minute of it. It's funny, it's less stressful for me than acting.
Really?
Yeah, it's more tiring.
Even though the whole ballpark game is yours?
Absolutely. But you see, that makes it easier. When you're in control of everything, and at least you know that you can control every decision, then you just make the decision and move on. You move to the next decision. But acting is a little more complicated for me personally. I know most people feel differently about it.
How about directing yourself?
I really don't like directing myself. I think at the time, you know, it seems easy because basically you get what you want, you print it, and you walk away. But the problem is that you don't get any surprises. You never get those wonderful moments where you're standing behind the camera and an actor just gives you something that you never would have thought of before and brings a kind of spontaneity to the process that you just never would have anticipated. And you can't get that with yourself as an actor because you always know where the movie's heading, and you're always conscious of that.
Second film you directed was what?
Home for the Holidays.
Home for the Holidays.
Yes.
Another big hit, right?
Sort of, yeah.
I thought that did
We loved
very well, right? Will you direct more?
I hope so, yeah. It's hard because the stuff that I choose that I really want to direct is usually very personal. And that means I have to have some kind of, you know, real connection with it so that I can make those decisions and, you know, decide whether somebody's going to wear a blue shirt or a red shirt. And I don't know how to make that unless I'm moved by it.
I guess what do I have to tell you? Two-time Academy Award winner, Jody Foster. When we come back, we'll talk more about Contact. We'll also talk about Silence of the Lambs. Don't go away.
What did you mean by fledgling killer? Are you saying that he's killed again?
I'm offering you a psychological profile of Buffalo Bill based on the case evidence. I'll help you catch him, Clary.
You know who he is, don't you? Tell me who decapitated your patient, Doctor.
All good things to those who wait. I've waited, Clarice, but how long can you and old Jackie boy wait? Our little Billy must already be searching for that next special lady.
She won for The Accused, a character that was that was some movie.
Thank you.
Was that hard to do?
Oh, yeah, it was a tough movie. I think that ranks about the toughest, yeah. It's a difficult one.
A lot of tough scenes, right?
A lot of tough scenes, and I was very young.
In the pool hall especially, right?
Yes. I was 25 years old, I think, and it's funny. I think sometimes you say yes to something when you're 25 years old because you don't know any better, and I'm not sure that I would make the decision to make that movie now if I was about to.
Why?
I think I'd be too scared. I think you hesitate more as you get older, and when you're younger, you get yourself unconsciously into these situations, and then you go, wait, why did I say I was going to do this? And I'm really thankful for that. I think you allow yourself to take enormous risks as an actor when you're younger, and it becomes harder and harder as you get older.
Do you like Fame?
Well, there's really nothing to like about Fame.
Nothing you like about it?
Well, there's pretty much nothing to like about it. Tell me one thing that's good. I mean, there's
quick seat in a restaurant.
Yeah, that's true. There you go. There you found the one thing.
Airplane attention when you make a reservation.
Yeah, I have a problem with attention, though. I don't like
You don't like
attention.
that?
No,
Your
it's bad.
personal life, do you think it's the public's business?
No, of course not.
And nothing about it?
No, of course
Why
not.
do you think the public or the tabloids or all this is so actively interested in it?
Well, I think it's an era where, you know, information has become entertainment, where we think that, you know, the more garish the news broadcast, the more fitting it is for a sitcom. And that's a cultural difference that I think has shifted quite dramatically over the years.
Before I ask you about Silence of the Lambs, I read Premier magazine recently.
Yeah.
I was pained
Uh-oh.
when you actually used the word Hinckley in that interview.
Really?
You used it. And I asked you once, you said you will not discuss it, and I said, why won't you discuss it? And you said, don't play tricks. So when I read that, a pain, sharp pain, went away.
Yes.
But now, why did you use that name in that interview?
Well, I've never had a problem saying, you know, I really don't want to talk about that time in my life. I've never had a problem talking about that. And that's specifically what I said, is I said it was a very difficult time. It was a time that I don't think anybody will ever understand just how impactful that is on 18.
Well, what is it like? Forget John Hinckley. No, this is a fair question.
Okay.
What is it like to be the victim of something that you had totally nothing to do with?
That's pretty much what it feels like you're the victim of something you had nothing to do with. However, I mean, that is you know, continues to be a fixture because I should be known about more things than just that event. And that's why I try to, you know, I try to not talk about that because I made, how many movies I made since then? 12 movies?
His parents were on here recently to try to get him to get out and have a little visitation, and he mentioned that you're completely out of his system. It should make you happy to learn that. Does it?
I have nothing to say about it.
All right, Silence of the Lambs.
Yes.
Did you read the book as a book, or did you read it only to do the film?
No, I read it as a book because actually two separate people, one journalist and one screenwriter, said to me, you know, sort of called me up in the middle of the night or something and said, you must read this book. And I went out and got them. And
couldn't put it down.
Couldn't put it down, and then eventually, you know, tried to track them down to see if I could buy it. And it had already been bought by Orion, and I went like that. And then there was, you know, many years of trying to get the part.
You actually campaigned for the part?
Oh, yeah, sure. I think I end up campaigning for pretty much everything I end up doing, even now. Just because if I really, really, really want it, then I don't have a problem, you know, telling you the reasons why and trying to convince you about why.
Why did you like her so much, that FBI agent?
You know, I don't know. I think I was compelled to, I love this idea of somebody who felt that her mission in life was about saving people. And that in some ways, in order to delineate herself from being the one who had to be the victim or had to be saved. I know it sounds kind of confusing, but I see her in some ways as a hero figure who's a mythic hero in the same way that, you know, great Greek tragedies have these great mythic heroes who go on this very, very long quest that usually takes them through psychically understanding themselves in ways that they hadn't wanted to before.
Was the doing equal to the selecting?
Oh, yeah. Well, I have to say, it was great fun. It was great fun. You know, Jonathan Demme is truly one of the most fun, nicest guys ever, and Anthony Hopkins is a doll, and it was just a wonderful, wonderful shoot. It was a long shoot, but it was a really wonderful one.
Duvall said that there were moments working with Brando in The Godfather where he knew it was Brando, and it was his friend Brando.
Yes.
He actually scared him. He just turned him so much that he moved him. Did that ever happen to you with Hannibal?
Well, Anthony Hopkins scared me the entire time. I mean, you know, the problem is that we did this one reading. We had never met, and I went to talk on the phone or something because I'd gotten there early, and by the time I came back into the reading room, everybody was there, so I never kind of got fully introduced to him. And we started page 1, sort of thumbing through, and he scared me to death.
At the reading?
Scared me to death at the reading, and then for some reason I just I couldn't really ever have a conversation with him again. And finally, at the end of the movie, because not only that, but most of our scenes are behind glass, so he would have to be bolted in. It would take him 20 minutes to get bolted into his side, and then I would be in curlers on the other side reading a newspaper because they were never going to see me on the other side of the camera. Or I would be, you know, closed off from him. So we never really got to have any kind of conversations on the movie. And about the last day of shooting, we sort of threw our arms around each other and said, I was really scared of you, and I don't know why. And he said, I was really scared of you, too, and I don't know why. And since then, we've become great friends.
He had down to a T, that part.
Yeah, he did. For the nicest guy in the world, it's amazing that he could find that demon in himself.
Do you want to do the next Harris? We are still waiting on the book. It's more than 7 years already, right?
Yes.
Would you say, based on what you know, you'd like to do
Yes.
that writer again? You don't know
Absolutely.
Harris, do you?
I don't care. I would, absolutely. The experience was so good. I think the film stands up as such a wonderful movie, a real high point, I think, in American cinema, and I would definitely be a part of it.
We'll ask Jody's personal feelings about Contact. She's been quoted as saying it's the most personal film she's ever made after this.
What is your worst memory of childhood?
Death of my father.
Tell me about it and don't lie, or I'll know.
He was a town marshal, and one night he surprised two burglars coming out of the back of a drugstore. They shot him.
Was he killed outright?
No, he was very strong. He lasted more than a month. My mother died when I was very young, so my father had become the whole world to me. When he left me, I had nothing. I was 10 years old.
You're very frank, Larry. I think it would be quite something to know you in private life.
Yes, it was. I don't know that that's true, because I have made quite a few personal movies. But I guess what I was saying is that it's the most personal journey, I think, that the character that I know has taken. The character's journey is a personal journey.
Why do you like being other people? Why is that, after a while? Grow up.
I know.
Why do you like that?
I don't know. I mean, not sure I like being other people. I'm not really sure. It's a funny thing, because I've been doing this for so many years. Part of what I love about making movies is being on a set and making movies. And it wouldn't matter whether I was a guy making the cappuccinos or whether I was a prop man or whatever it was. I like being on a set, and I like knowing what that act of filmmaking is and being a part of that experience. But the acting part is a strange thing. Performance is really strange. I'm not a particularly performative person. I'm not the kind of person who, does great jokes and imitations and dances on tables.
You're not the life of the party.
No, I'm not, or a big box of tears. It's not my way to display my emotions on the outside. I'm not comfortable with that. So it's a strange job for me to do, because that's pretty much what you're supposed to be able to do. And every time I do perform, there's always that fear of saying, will I ever be able to be truthful and be able to find that?
Do you think then it's a way you're overcoming a shyness?
Absolutely. I think it's one of the best things that could have happened to me, because I really was one of those kids who's, maybe shy is not the word, but I think definitely reserved is the word, and who keep my emotions very close to the breast. And I think this is a great cathartic job for me. And I probably never would have had a job like this.
We'll be right back with Jodie Foster. Contact opened Friday, playing...
It could be a teaching machine of some kind, or it might turn out to be some kind of a transport.
Transport? There's no proof of that.
Who makes those? You have nothing to do with those decisions either, right?
No, not on this movie, no. No, this is, on the movies I produce, I'm involved in that.
When you see a movie that you're not in, are there often times you say, oh, would I like to be in this? Or I would have loved to have done that part?
Almost sometimes, but almost never. Almost never. But I do think I would have liked to have worked on that movie. I think about that. I think, yeah, I would have liked to.
As anything? I
would
have liked to have been a grip.
I would have liked to have been a grip on that movie. Yeah, I think about that. Well, maybe not a grip. I'm a little small for that.
What's a movie that you would like to have been around the making of?
The Piano. That was one I loved. I really loved that movie. And I remember saying that to Jane Campion. I was just saying, I'd really like to be an assistant on this movie. If I really had the time, I'd like to do that.
Now, you said roles and selectivity. Would you take a fourth star in a movie?
Oh, absolutely. If I was interested in the character and if I loved the film.
You would.
Absolutely. Yeah, I don't have a thing about needing to play...
Your contract doesn't say left side must be above the title?
No, and in fact, if I was going to do that, I would be perfectly happy not to be listed. I just don't have a problem with any of that. I love doing supporting parts, by the way, because I think, they tend to be much more interesting characters, and you can do a lot more with them because you don't have to be worried about carrying the whole movie on your shoulders.
How about comedy?
I like comedy. I haven't done that many. I mean, Maverick, I think Maverick is the most fun I've ever had in a movie, including my own films. I mean, Maverick is just a really high point.
Well, we work with two funny people, too.
Yeah. Well,
James Garner ain't all there, right?
James Garner, Mel Gibson, but of course Dick Donner, who is strangely funny. I mean, adorably funny. My favorite thing that he would do is that he instead of telling me what to say, he would do an imitation of me with Mel and do improvisations. But in my voice, too. He'd be like, I don't know what that, like do a whole scene in front of me. And then, and then I just repeat what he said.
The trick of comedy is not to play it as comedy, right?
Oh, absolutely.
It's a serious business.
No, you absolutely have to. I think so. I mean, you do the same work on a character for a comedy as you would for a drama.
Important to get along with the other people in the film, or not important?
Well, it's always important to have a good environment if you can. But
I mean, does
I've
it
made
make
a lot
the
of movies
film better
that I
if you get along?
Not always, you know, not always. I mean, getting along...
Strife can work sometimes.
Well, no, I don't think strife really works, but I think if you can get along professionally, you don't have to get along personally at all, and that's just fine. I mean, it's if you have some kind of chemistry and some understanding when you're working.
Did you like Matthew right away?
Oh, yeah.
What's the fun of working with him?
He's so pure. He's a real actor. He's somebody who does it for all the right reasons, and he doesn't know any of the tricks, and he hasn't been in the business that long, so that he's sort of jaded about the whole thing. And both Jimmy Woods and I, who really have been doing this for a long time, would just watch Matthew and just say, God, I want to be like that. You know?
Really?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's just a great guy.
What's, have you got something planned now?
No, I have no plans. None.
You going on vacation?
I've already went on vacation. No, no, I just don't have any plans. I mean, I still have I come run my company, Egg Pictures, and that takes up some time. And I just don't need to work 24 hours a day.
Your company, you produce?
Yes.
You want to do a lot more? In other words, you'll buy a book. If you like a book,
yes,
you will purchase the rights to make the film of the
right,
book.
develop the screenplay, choose the writer.
Does it have to be something Jody will be in?
No. No,
or Jody will direct?
No, it can't.
Doesn't have. Could be neither.
Could be neither.
So you're like a little Spielberg.
Well, I'm not even a little Spielberg.
You could produce, you could direct, you could star in, or not be in.
I could. I have to tell you that that I don't think that I'll ever be any bigger than I am. I'm as big as I will ever be as a producer because I just really want to make great movies. I'm not really interested in power or quantity or putting out a lot of films. The only thing that interests me is if we have the opportunity of making a film that otherwise wouldn't have the chance to get out there, that's an important film for people to see, then I want to be a part of it. But otherwise, there's no point. Otherwise, I'd rather do something else during the day.
The 2 November 19th will return with our closing moments after this.
Goodbye. Annabelle. How can I possibly go on without my wallet? If you don't give me back my money, I'll have your ass thrown in jail.
Damn.
Oh, don't get mad at me. I can't help it if you're a miserable thief.
I'm a very good thief, mister. I've just been having a stroke of bad luck, that's all.
Jody Foster, how have you been able to keep your personal life pretty much out of things? I mean, in a difficult business to do that, where helicopters trail overhead to capture pictures of you. How have you done that?
I don't know. You know, I think a lot of it has to do with your personality. And, you know, I'm not Madonna. I'm not Michael Jackson or something. I don't think people really... I'm not that famous. And,
you're not that famous.
No.
2 Academy Awards, you're not that famous.
Well, but I do something different. I'm not a pop icon, you know. I don't think of myself as a movie star, and I don't think people do either. I think they think of me as an actor, which they should. And that means that they go to see my movies because of what I do on screen, you know, not kind of my hair and
don't see
being is what it is.
You're not a sex symbol.
I'm not a sex symbol. I'm not really a movie star. And
you're not a movie star.
No, I'm really not. I'm really not. And I think that's a good thing. I think it helps me in my personal life. But also, you know what? I've been doing this from the time that I was 3 or 4 years old. And anybody, I'm sure if you've ever interviewed, you know, John Kennedy Jr., anybody who's lived their life in the public eye from a very, very, very young age has no interest in, you know, parading themselves out in front of the limelight when they're not working. And the only people who are interested in kind of being very out there about their lives and are people who just started when they were 25 or 30. You know, who were a waiter for a really long time, and they kind of want to say, look at me, you know, look at me, I matter. And but I didn't grow up that way.
How come so many child stars have a problem and you didn't, do you think?
I don't know. I mean, some do and some don't. I think that, you know, the more visible ones, of course, are the ones that are broken in half. But there are plenty of child actors out there. Ron Howard is a good example, you know, child actors who went out there and who have great lives and who have continued on either as an actor or as doing other things.
But a lot had too much too soon or too...
Some of that, I mean, it is a difficult business. It's not a quote-unquote normal way to live, and so it demands a lot more from your psyche. But at the same time, I mean, I always think that, you know, people are built different ways, sort of like astronauts. There are some who don't mind the gravity, you know, and don't throw up when they go into space. And then there are the, you know, the astronauts that can't take it. And you just never know who they're going to be.
You're always a great guest. Always good to see
Thank you.
Thank you, Jody.
Thank you.
And, oh, Broadway. Will you go to Broadway?
I don't think, not this year.
Would you ever go?
I don't think anybody wants me on Broadway, but yeah, I sure
You don't
would.
think,
I
you
love
don't think
Broadway.
anybody wants you on Broadway?
I don't think so.
I've got a nephew.
Okay.
Thanks, Jody.
All right.
The film is Contact. How was I, by the way?
You were good.
Good. Jody Foster, great spending an hour with her. Thanks very much for joining us from Los Angeles. Good night.